Ahoy hoy, I'm Planewalk, and I'm back with a challenge for all the flat earthers. And this challenge is a pretty simple one, so it'll be interesting to see if any flat earthers actually take me up on this challenge. Now I can immediately see all the Nathans and the Globebusters going, "Ooh, this sounds like a great opportunity to make a bit of money by spouting absolute bullshit." No it's not, because there's no money attached to this challenge. I am poor and cannot afford to give away money. Please support me on Patreon. So now that all the flat earthers that are just in it for the money have left, which leaves us with, no flat earthers watching. Alright, I'm still going to continue with this challenge anyway. So what is this challenge? Well, in theory, it's pretty simple. All you need to do is come up with a comprehensive explanation for why something happens that you don't think that the globe model has an explanation for. So that sounds pretty simple, correct? Well, there's a little bit more to it. Whatever explanation you give must expect different results than what the globe model expects. So what this means is it means that you absolutely must understand what the globe model predicts so that you can come up with something that predicts things differently. So an example might be, this is an egg, and we can come up with different reasons why an egg falls or why it might float in salt solution. Now, a lot of flat earthers think that due to gravity, an egg should not float in dense water, but that's not true. Due to buoyancy, it will float, and buoyancy is part of the globe model. In fact, buoyancy is a byproduct of gravity. So that means that if a flat earther comes along and says, well, in the globe model, nothing should float, I have a thing called density and buoyancy, which says that some things like an egg should float in salt solution, therefore, I've made a prediction that the globe doesn't, therefore, challenge completed, boom! No, challenge not completed, and for a number of reasons too. So the first reason why that doesn't satisfy the challenge is because it completely misunderstands the globe model. It is not making a prediction that the globe model can't. And the second reason is it's not comprehensive at all. If you want to make something comprehensive, you might want to add, a little bit of a mathematics. So if your explanation for things falling is relative density, then you are going to 100% need a relative density formula. So saying something along the lines of egg float, globe destroyed does not satisfy the challenge. I'm gonna need a new egg. Be right back. This is a second egg. And pro tip, when you want to smash eggs on your head, hard boil them so that you don't get egg all over your hair and stuff. Now explaining why an egg might float or fall is not the only way to complete the challenge. You could also complete the challenge by predicting whether things should disappear over the horizon or not on a flat Earth without using the globe Earth explanations like hidden by curvature. Also, this is a third egg. This would actually be something that would be quite interesting to see, because quite often, flat earthers will just dismiss an image of something that's disappearing over the horizon and claim that it's the angle of attack or the Rayleigh criteria or something like that. Now, I know what flat earthers are going to say to that. They're going to say, but you globetards basically do the same thing but with refraction. If something isn't disappearing over the horizon when it should, you just say refraction and don't explain it at all. Now, the main difference here is that I actually have delved into things like refraction and how light will bend to give us images like the black swan. I may not have said exactly all the variables that are at play, but I've given a brief overview. And also, not all the variables are known for the black swan. Things like the temperature or the atmospheric conditions, you can take a good guess at, but you don't know exactly what they are. But you can also make educated guesses of, yes, there is refraction because look at that image. On the other hand, flat earthers haven't even begun to describe why things like ships will disappear bottom first over the horizon. They'll say something like, the angle of attack is why it disappears bottom first over the horizon. But when it comes to something that doesn't disappear bottom first over the horizon because of something like atmospheric conditions on the globe model, they'll say, well, this must mean flat Earth. And that is pretty much confirmation bias. When something doesn't fit your narrative, you will dismiss it. However, when something does fit your narrative, you'll go, hey, look at this. This proves my point. As you may have figured out, the point of this video is pretty much just to get flat earthers to stop saying particular words like they mean something and actually get them to provide something that's falsifiable. We've all heard of the flat earthers that will say perspective and not be able to provide a formula for it. We've all heard of the flat earthers that say diffraction and won't be able to describe it. We've all heard of the flat earthers that will accuse globe earthers of just saying refraction whilst also just saying angle of attack. And for each of these things, I can at least describe a bit of how they work, except for angle of attack because that's just made up bullshit. So here we go. Perspective describes how an object's angular size will decrease as you get further away from it. There is a formula for this as well, and that formula is the arctan of height over distance. Diffraction is when a wave, like light, will pass through an aperture or a hole, and all the waves will interfere with each other and create an interference pattern. And this can also be applied to the Rayleigh criteria to determine if two objects are close enough to each other so that the light that is reflected off of those objects will interfere with each other and make each object appear indistinguishable from one another. And lastly, refraction occurs when light enters a medium that is at a different density to the one that it was in previously, at an angle that is different to 90 degrees. And another point to make is that the medium that the light is entering into doesn't actually have to be of a different substance to the medium that it was just in. It can be the exact same substance, like entering from one density of air into another density of air. Just has to be a different density. Because flat earthers like to say, oh, it has to be a medium of different substance. No, it doesn't. And also, everything that I just described there has evidence to back it up. So in video games, you've got to use perspective to display things correctly. Well, at least for 3D video games. For diffraction, the double slit experiment uses diffraction to create an interference pattern. And refraction is also very well understood. Greater Sapien, in fact, has shown light refracting using nothing but air, just by altering the conditions. And also there's the fact that light will bend when you put it through a prism. Snell's law. Look into it. Oh, and if you're looking for every little detail about refraction, Mick West has a great video on it. I'll try and link it in the description if I can find it. He essentially goes ahead and explains how atmospheric conditions can lead to an image like the black swan being taken on the globe. And now that I think about it, there's actually something else that flat earthers could try to explain, rather than just saying the second law of thermodynamics. I'm talking about atmospheric pressure. Now, their general argument is that gas pressure should disperse until it's homogeneous everywhere. However, there's this little thing called a pressure gradient, which the globe model expects. I've never actually heard a good reason why the globe shouldn't expect a pressure gradient, whereas the flat earth should. All I've heard is that a pressure gradient needs a container to have pressure. No actual explanation there. This of course ignores that what normal people actually mean when they bring up the pressure gradient is that the thing that flat earthers say should be happening isn't actually happening, because the pressure gradient exists. Alright, so there's the challenge. I've given flat earthers a couple of examples of something that they could try and tackle, and it is fairly easy unless you're trying to be correct, in which case then it will be hard, especially for flat earthers. And no, there's not going to be any type of reward for completing the challenge, because you could spout complete and utter bollocks and technically still complete the challenge. You'd just be wrong. Like, you could actually come up with a formula that says that an object that is twice as dense as another object should fall at twice the speed. You'd be wrong, but you'd still complete the challenge. Oh, and the reason why you can be wrong and still complete the challenge is because part of science is being wrong. You may come up with a hypothesis. The hypothesis seems to be completely sound and has logical conclusions that should follow from it. You test it, and then you find out that you're wrong, but now you've eliminated one possibility. And if a hypothesis accurately predicts what should happen, then it doesn't necessarily mean that the hypothesis is correct, but you do have evidence for that hypothesis. But anyway, before I end this video, I want to actually get people's opinions. So if you're still sticking around, let me know what you think in the comments of a t-shirt that says, "This is an egg," and has someone holding up an egg. I don't know whether I should make this a t-shirt. So if people do want that as a t-shirt, I'll make it into a t-shirt and then announce it when I also announce a few other t-shirts. Because I've got a really good idea for a t-shirt, which I'm definitely making. And also, don't worry about anything being limited time. I understand that people don't have a lot of money right now, like myself, which is why I'm always very thankful to my patrons, especially my $20 or more patrons, such as What Jesus, Hugh Jarsz, MC.Nutkin, Wolfie, Stringer News 1, and Morrie. If you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon. The link is there, or buy one of my t-shirts when I finally make them. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching.